Don't make a decision on whether you have to buy the house today. Let's go take a look at what's out there. Let's align it with your budget, your finances. So he's a single dad. For him, it was a big deal to have a stable home for his son.
Welcome back to the CashFlow podcast, the podcast where we talk about turning properties into profits. I'm your host, Jayson Yoss, and before we get to our first guest, I want to thank our sponsors. First, Daniel's Plumbing, servicing residential and commercial plumbing throughout Southern California, San Diego, LA, and Orange County, as well as Rainforest Heating and Air. They service all of the Phoenix Metro Valley. Thank you so much. We couldn't be here without you. Now, on to my guest, Dannny Quesada. Dannny, it's great to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Dannny and I go way back. Much love to this guy. One of the most genuine and real people I know in real estate. I'm super excited to have you here.
I appreciate that. Yeah, when I first met you, I didn't have the gray hairs. Now you see what real estate has done.
Real estate has done that to all of us, yes. And everybody knows the teddy bear, my partner, Roy, who introduced you to me. He also, before I came over, he was like, tell Dannny, we love him. One of the most genuine and good people in our industry.
That's awesome.
I want to open it up. Talk to me a little bit about you're with Real Brokerage. How long you been doing this? Let's talk a little background.
Yeah, so I started in 2018, so about 7 years.
Got it.
And when I started, it was more of a exit out of a career I hated. So I worked in the cleaning industry and I worked overnight and I managed 7 different hotels all across Southern California, from Orange County, all the Hyatts. And I hated that job. So real estate was like, let me get my license, a backup plan in case anything goes wrong with this thing that I hate. Right. And that's how I started.
I love it. And I love that transition. What are you focused on in your real estate business? Is it apartments? Is it, strip malls? Like, what's your focus?
My focus is primarily residential. So buyers, sellers. Right now in this market, buyers, all buyers. Right, and that's how I started in the business. So it's like revisiting when I first started. And honestly, I love it. Yeah, it's my favorite thing.
To be successful in this business, a lot of people talk about tons of things you can do, but I'm big into mentorship. Who were you looking to help mentor you along your way?
Yeah, so I had a few mentors. Ryan Lamb,
yep.
Mr. Lambo. So he's a Marine veteran. Yep. He really showed me what it was like to have like a really strong foundational process. So he was like very like, if you know Ryan, he does not miss a beat. Like he crosses dots all his I's, crosses all his T's, and I was like, man, this guy's a little intense. And so we'd go through everything. I'm like, this is everything? And he's like, yeah. So as I would do it, that was the norm for me. Right. So, but I didn't realize other people didn't have that. A lot of people would ask me like, how are you so good at getting offers prepped? How do you know what you're looking at? How do you know how to explain this to people? I'm like, because I literally had the best mentor when it came to the process of selling real estate.
A Marine officer, process and delivery. I love it. And Ryan Lamb is a good friend and somebody I totally respect, and has moved his real estate business around, I think, Hawaii, California, Texas. So yeah, a testament to your success right there. Are there anybody else or any other parts of your mentorship that have helped you get to where you are now?
Yeah, so I've always had mentors in every aspect. And I find that, before I used to think I could do it all on my own. And I'm like, I'm young, I'm hungry. I have this this energy about me that I can go conquer things. And then the more you grow in life, the more you realize like you can't just fall on yourself. And the worst way to learn is through your own experience, is to learn off of other people's experiences. So it's took me a while to get there, but then I would, for sales, for instance, like I had no idea what sales was. I was used to customer service, but I wasn't used to what it was like to, really analyze why someone's not pulling the trigger on something, why someone is afraid, get deeper questions for them to reflect on, and really to get people out of their own way. Because I think a lot of people don't know that they're the ones sabotaging themselves. Yeah. And especially in a business like real estate, I feel like people, they call it feelings estate. Like it's all about your feelings. And so if you don't know how to objectively manage your feelings and put those aside to really, to really accomplish the long-term goal of owning a property, the vision, and how to get there, and you don't have someone guiding you through that, I think it can get really messy.
I think that a lot of agents don't like buyers, Tom and Susie's first home, because they don't know how to navigate the emotional aspect of selling. It's so refreshing to hear you break down each of these obstacles in a process fashion. So So you put it all together with mentors like that. Do you have an overarching like philosophy now or guiding principle that you use for your clients and your real estate?
Yeah. So for me today, it's always, I want the client to be better off after we get done with the house sale and that they're fully set up and they are happy with what they did than before they met with me.
Right.
And I feel like that mindset is what helps me like guide them. If I see a potential problem, I go, hey guys, you should probably walk away because this doesn't align with your vision and what we spoke about. These payments don't align with your budget. You know, this space doesn't align with what your family needs. So I just go constantly back to what they need. And if I can satisfy their needs, they're always happy long term.
Is it the mindset that when you started out from your previous business, is it that service mindset that really has set the stage for this?
Yes. And when it comes to cleaning, there's always problems. There's
Right.
never a perfect day, and every day was filled with complaints. But what I realized is building relationships with the people that I would talk to, and even though complaints would come, it would always be about the response. It was never about, oh, you guys constantly have problems. They're like, dude, I really like Dannny. Like he's always on top of it. We're not switching him out. Because they understand that the cleaning industry, it's hard to be perfect. I can't have a perfectly dusted, freaking floor always if people are walking through that day in and day out. And, trust me, I've had employee issues. I've had like some severe cases in that industry where I mean, it was a relationship that saved us a business, and that's how we grew.
How you respond to things. But what a concept. How you respond, how you take care of people is what sets you apart because, bad things are going to happen. And in real estate, it's so predictable, right? Always the same thing every time. So,
it is.
Let's talk about that. Specific case studies of deals where you've been involved. I know you've got a lot. Let's talk about a heartfelt deal, like something that really pulled the heartstrings. Talk to me about that.
Yeah. So recently, we had a buyer who had never owned a home. 20 years in service, serving for the Marines. Wow. Moved all across the place to Japan. He's been deployed 3 separate times. Right. And so when he reached out, his mindset was, I can't buy a house. Right. And he's like, do you think I should just not look? I'm like, you are in the perfect position. You have set yourself up. He had amazing credit. He just didn't have the know-how to navigate the process. Right. And all he was looking at was headlines. So we discussed it. We talked about it. And I said, don't make a decision on whether you have to buy the house today. Let's go take a look at what's out there. Right. Let's align it with your budget, your finances. So he's a single dad. So for him, it was a big deal to have a stable home for his son and something that he could build long-term and maybe pass that on. So through that process, as he was learning more and more, utilizing his VA loan, we crushed it. He's 15 minutes away from his base. He has a beautiful remodeled home. And just this past week, he went touring with his son and daughter who came to visit him from North Carolina. And they're like, I can't believe this is ours.
Yeah. Did you have to push away some some obstacles that wasn't going to make it work for him? For example, I served at Camp Pendleton. A lot of people either want to be in San Clemente or, depending on where you are in the base, or Oceanside. You have to say, look, we're not going to be right outside the back gate, so let's do this.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So the big thing was I want to be, 10 minutes away from Oceanside, but I don't want to be too far east. Got it. And so when we started touring what his price point could get him in Oceanside, it was really clear up front. Like he wasn't going to like anything. I mean, I'm like, you're looking at a small condo. Yeah. His son plays guitar. I play guitar. So I know how important it is to be able to play whenever without having someone banging on the walls telling you to stop. Right. And so, we had to have a conversation like, hey, listen, like it's not on Oceanside, but it's in Fallbrook and it's 15 minutes away. Can you make that sacrifice for a house? He saw the house and he's like, yes, I can make the sacrifice.
How did you get him to see that there are other cities outside Oceanside? Like, what did you have to send him like screenshots, or like how do you do that?
Keeping his options open. So I tell everyone who's looking for a house, I'm like, you have to just keep your search open. We have to do a deep dive on different areas within your price points and see if the commute's actually doable for you. Because a lot of people will immediately look at a map. They're like, nope. Yeah, and I'm like, you have no idea. You have no clue.
Get in the car, ride it.
Yeah, and they don't know these neighborhoods like I do. I travel all across San Diego County. So it's a little different for me to say that, but I want to show them. So I'm willing to do white glove service. I'm willing to pick them up, show them around, tell them about the different spots around the different neighborhoods. And for them, that's a huge, like, it opens their mind. Some people are like, you know what, we can actually confidently say we don't like this area.
Right.
Or I didn't think that we would include this, but let's keep an eye on this area.
It's totally crazy you say white glove service because most agents nowadays won't put somebody in their car. Oh, just meet me here at this spot.
It's crazy. Yeah. Yeah. Or they'll go through Zillow or something and get linked up with some random person. And it's like,
at the end of the day, how did it shake out? Did he get the house in Fallbrook? Like, what did it end up looking like?
yeah, so we got the house. We had a really great relationship with the agent through my lender partner.
Okay.
And so immediately we were competing against the other offers. So it was multiple offers. He got accepted. He had $17,000 in equity, a $15,000 closing cost credit, and he had a fully remodeled turnkey house in Fallbrook. The only one on the market that was available for like 3 days, and we happened to get it.
Huge. That's a win. That's a win. And shout out to hooking up my fellow servicemen, my Marines. I love that. I love that. Okay. They can't all be that smooth, are they? Well, give me another one. Give me another one.
Yeah, as far as they're not always smooth. It depends on the agent on the other side. Communication's super important, and you get some really aggressive people. Especially when it comes to when you tell someone something and there's an expectation set with your client.
Right.
If you feel like you're falling short, there's only a few things you can do. You can own up to your mistakes and say, hey, like, I made a mistake. The market's showing something different, or your ego takes over and you tell the other agent what you want to do. And so we've had that happen in this market where agents are having a hard time adjusting their mindset to what the market is saying. So just because you list a price around the comps doesn't mean the market is going to pay that.
Sure.
So we've definitely have seen properties we put offers on and people have totally told us to like F off, like, hey, appraisal, we need an appraisal gap. Your client needs to come up at ask. We're not giving you any credits. I'm like, okay, well, guess what? The person who loses in a negotiation is the one who's willing to walk away.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, I think that's probably the toughest thing is just getting the agents to understand, like, this is a different market.
Right.
And if we walk, the likelihood of our clients turning back around, and it's going to be really hard.
Talk to me about when, with that trouble mindset, are there situations where you've had to step in for an agent or take over maybe where an agent wasn't taking care of their client, and then I'm sure there's some adjustment that has to go on with those deals? You got any of those?
Yeah, so I have a lot of people call me out of the blue, and typically I'm the second to third agent that they call. Fair enough. They'll just say, hey, I've had a really bad experience. We've seen your content online. We just, we saw a house. We went on an online platform, got hooked up with some agent, and they're telling it they're either blowing us off. I've heard everything from like being blown off to not being responded to like just they're pressuring us to put more on the table than we're willing to give.
Right, then we're comfortable with, right.
And so typically what I'll do is I'll take over those bad experiences and make them great. So
you told me about a house in Poway that you were working with where you had to do something like that. You had to step in.
Oh, it was horrible. Yeah. So we had a client that they got linked up with a lender, and so the dad he only spoke Farsi.
Okay.
And so I understand what it's like to have someone who, like a parent that doesn't speak the native language.
Right.
And, the translations and trusting and all this stuff. So, initially they were like, hey, we have a lender, we have a pre-approval, we're good to go. But they would never, like, I didn't hear anything from the lender. They got their offer accepted. The lender provided the pre-approval, and he's like, I never verified their funds. He's like, I never looked at anything. He's like, I don't think they can afford this. We need to cancel. And the client was just freaking out.
Whoa.
Yeah.
We're already in escrow.
We're already in escrow. And so we're finding this stuff out. I get my lender involved, Randa, and
Shout out to Randa.
Yeah, she jumps in, and she immediately cleans it all up. Obviously, there was delays and communication we had to have with the other side, like, hey, we need time because we dropped the ball on the lending side.
Right.
And so that taught me a lesson, like, hey, like, just because they're pre-approved doesn't mean that they work on the same level of integrity that you might.
Sure. Talk about that communication piece. Like, I've heard agents on the listing side get an offer in escrow and then it starts to fall apart. How were you able to keep that agent and their client calm to be able to let it go to the finish line?
So deals that have almost fallen apart.
Almost
So,
fallen apart.
yeah. So, okay. So I've had plenty of deals like that. So
But you talked to this agent a bunch, right? And this one, like, you
yeah,
had to tell him like you're changing lenders,
yeah,
right?
this agent was like in a hard place just in terms with the seller. Like
Okay.
they already dropped out of one escrow.
Okay.
And so this is the second time around coming. And so she, obviously the seller is like all discombobulated
Right,
about like what's
right.
going on. And I told him, I said, listen, like you'll get daily communication from me.
Sure.
And he called me every single day. He called me more than some of my family members, anyone that I have in my life, my girlfriend, everyone.
Fair enough.
He called me every single day. But hey, listen, that's part of the like when you're dealing with stressful situations and people
Sure.
need reassurance, it's a 5-minute conversation. It's not
Yeah.
that big of a deal.
Yeah. And that willingness to talk and be transparent with the agent every day helped you get to the finish line with your client.
Mm-hmm.
Did they need an extra couple days to get the closing, an extra week or two?
Yeah, they did.
And they were willing to oblige.
And they were willing, and they also gave the seller some time to like move from their place to a next place without charging them anything, because
Nice.
they were like, you were understanding of our situation.
Right.
We'll give some back to you so you don't feel so pressed on time.
love it.
So
I
it's
love it.
it's a give and take, right? And like what you put out, well, you'll always get back. So if you work, I think a lot of people think real estate is like me versus you, but if you collaborate with others, it makes it really easy.
When you, I mean, it's such a great thing to hear, that communication and your willingness to come in and put ego aside help save that kind of situation. It's scary to think that people are getting pre-approved and then you can't stand behind that pre-approval.
It's so crazy.
Like in today's market, it's not what it was in 2021. Like, what are the challenges that you're seeing in the everyday business that you're having to navigate?
Yeah. So the big thing is interest rates are really, they're a lot higher, right? People would say they're really high, right? And the other thing is record high prices as well. We've never seen these level of prices. So
Right.
like buyers right now are looking for, they don't want to settle, and they also don't want to feel like they're overpaying for anything. So you're seeing a pullback in the market naturally. I mean, if you see an interest rate at nearly the average price of $950,000, obviously someone's going to have concerns when they look at their payment, and their payment is like $4,000 or $5,000 more than their rent payment.
Yeah.
That makes sense, right? And so it's about developing a game plan. So I sit down with people and I go, listen, the goal isn't for you to stay in this interest rate and to not make any money off your house. Right. The goal is you're going to stay in this house, whether that's 10, 15, 20 years.
Right.
You get refinanced when rates come down.
Right.
You either sell your house when the appreciation goes sky high, you move, you have an asset now, right, but you're staying in place. And as long as we're agreeing on that plan, let's go ahead and actually look at to see what's out there and not settle.
Are you finding that with the change of the market that your strategy, I know you do a lot of content online, that you have to double down on, or you have to change from that strategy?
Yeah, so right now, strategy right now is just, you need to understand what your client needs, right? And right now, I really focus on their payments. And I'm like, hey, how comfortable are you with this payment at this price? And they're like, I don't want to be there. Yeah. Then I'm like, then let's look at what your payment can afford, or what you can afford at that payment. Because if we start looking at homes that are like $200,000 more, $300,000, you're going to obviously start thinking, well, I can never afford that. I don't want to buy. And we start there. And then at some point, some people are like, well, we're willing to be flexible if it means we'll get the house that we want.
Sure.
So the strategy really is case by case basis. Like some people are more sensitive to the payments. Some people are more sensitive to the type of house that they want. I don't think it's like a one size fits all.
Sure.
There's obviously people who want deals. People don't want to feel like they're overpaid. And so that's kind of the strategy right now, is just listen to what they need and they'll tell you.
But before we get to an end, two more questions. My first one is like, what are you putting out? What are you posting right now on social media that's resonating?
Yeah, so I post everything San Diego. So I've done like relocation content for a long time. So it's about like the different neighborhoods in San Diego and just like the cost of living and things that people wouldn't know, like just being from outside the state. So I had a lot of people from like New York, the Midwest, the East Coast, moving, even some international clients who have found me. Like I have a client right now from Taiwan, and they saw me on YouTube, reached out to me, helped them get a rental. Now they're buying. So really it was aimed towards that. Now it's kind of transitioned into more local content.
Sure.
So that slowed, like I don't see a whole bunch of people migrating and buying properties. It's typically a 1 to 2 year process when they're coming from outside of state, unless they've lived here before.
Right.
Because if you're asking someone to like, hey, pay super like $1 million prices right when you move here and you don't know the neighborhoods, like it's just setting them up for failure. So I go more local now. Like now I'm diving into like developments, projects. And from that, I'm getting a lot of people who are interested, who are here locally, who want to move around the county.
Right. And your social media is fire. So that's why I bring it up. I see you are consistent, and especially the local stuff that you've been putting out. It's been really great. So I'd love to see that. Okay. I want to kind of close it with more philosophical, like lasting piece of advice. If you had to look back when you first started, baby Dannny, in the space, what advice are you giving yourself, or just in general to that brand new agent who just got their license? Like, what are you telling them?
Yeah. So for me, I know what I needed to hear was that you don't rely on your feelings, rely on your faith.
Okay.
And for me, when I first started in real estate, I constantly would rely on this like ambitious, energetic, like I'm going to crush everything. And then when something hard would come, I would go immediately internal and go, what's wrong with me? Why don't I have these skill set yet? And it's real estate is one of the biggest personal development journeys that you'll ever go through.
Sure.
And it'll expose your weaknesses and highlight your strengths. And so if you're unwilling to change who you are, you might as well just stay where you're at, because real estate will expose what you fail at. So yeah, I personally now today rely on my faith more than I do on my feelings. And that's come over the 7 years of doing real estate, but also having a lot, life is hard for a lot of people, and outside of real estate, there's a whole life behind it. So it also highlight, like, do you have people who support you? Do you have people who encourage your journey? Are you okay with suffering a little bit to get ahead in the long term? So yeah, that's probably the conversation I would have with myself.
Do you think that you were aware that how much personal growth was involved when you were making the transition, or what did you see when you're like, I just got to get out of the service industry of a cleaning company?
Yeah, so, it's funny because I've always been into personal growth. I'm like looking for ways to constantly hustle, and like I had multiple jobs at one point. Then I had this one job that was a great salary job, more than I've ever made. And my upbringing was, I didn't really make my family did not make a whole lot of money. We were constantly moving all over the place. So for me, I just wanted to get as far away from that as possible. Right. But then, what I've realized is the books that you read about like productivity and sales and all that stuff is not going to help you in the long term. You need to focus on the things that are really hurting inside. Right. And for me, that was my past. And so the more that I started diving into the things that I had issues with, the more I could live in the present and actually do things presently to get me ahead. Because I think a lot of people don't know. They have a lot of challenges, but it's not always like, you always aren't aware of them. And I just wasn't aware of what I didn't know until I went through the real estate process.
They think it's very superficial. Well, if I just do this, or if I just go get six-pack abs, I'm going to be good.
If I connect myself with this person, if I join this team, if I read this book, if I take this sales course, and I think people don't realize like their past has a lot to do with who they are today. And if they're not willing to face it, like I wasn't, it can delay a lot of things. So I've been blessed that I've been surrounded by people who've supported me, and I've been, obviously God is a really big factor for me. Sure. So he's guided me out of things that I can't even begin to start to tell you. And I wouldn't be here if it weren't for my faith.
I love it. And that's a testament to your success. And like I said in the beginning, how genuine of a person you are, how much we love you. Like I said, the teddy bear is a straight shooter. When he's like, that's my guy, and that's my guy. So, Dannny Quesada.
I appreciate it.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to CashFlow. Again, the podcast where we talk about turning properties into profits. We'll see you next week.
Take care.